My dad texted me at 2 a.m. Grab your sister and run. Don't trust your mother. So I did. The phone screen burned my eyes in the darkness. 3 sentences that made no sense until they made all the sense in the world. My father had been on a business trip in Seattle for 4 days, the kind of trip he took monthly for his consulting firm, always professional and predictable. He never texted after 10 at night, never used urgent language, never said anything that would alarm us. This message violated everything I knew about my careful, measured father, which meant something had gone catastrophically wrong. I was 17 and responsible enough to know when adults were overreacting versus when they were genuinely terrified. This text read like genuine terror compressed into 12 words. I threw off my blankets and grabbed clothes from the floor, pulling on jeans and a sweatshirt while my brain tried to process what "don't trust your mother" could possibly mean. Mom was downstairs in the living room where I'd left her an hour ago, watching some crime documentary and drinking wine like she did most nights, normal suburban mother behavior. Nothing threatening or suspicious. Except Dad wouldn't send this message without reason, and the specificity of grabbing my sister and running suggested immediate danger, not paranoid delusion. I shoved my feet into sneakers and grabbed my backpack, dumping out textbooks and replacing them with my laptop, phone charger, and the emergency cash I kept hidden in my desk drawer for reasons I'd never quite articulated. $300 in 20s that suddenly felt like the most important thing I owned. My sister Becca was 12 and slept like the dead, completely undisturbed by my frantic movement in the next room. I crept down the hallway and eased open her door, wincing when the hinges creaked. She was buried under blankets with just her dark hair visible, breathing in the steady rhythm of deep sleep. Waking her quietly would be nearly impossible, but waking her loudly would alert Mom downstairs, and Dad's message had been explicit about not trusting her. And I knelt beside Becca's bed and pressed my hand over her mouth before shaking her shoulder. Her eyes flew open in panic, and I felt her try to scream against my palm. I put my finger to my lips and whispered directly into her ear, barely audible even in the silent room. Dad sent an emergency message. "We need to leave right now without Mom knowing. I'll explain everything once we're safe, but you have to trust me and stay completely silent." Becca's eyes were huge with fear and confusion, but she nodded against my hand. I released her mouth and she sat up, reaching for her glasses on the nightstand. I'd already grabbed clothes from her closet, jeans and a hoodie that I pressed into her hands while gesturing urgently for her to change. She pulled on the clothes over her pajamas, her hands shaking, and I stuffed her feet into the nearest shoes without bothering to tie the laces properly. The window in Becca's room faced the backyard and had a screen I'd removed dozens of times for sneaking out to meet friends. I popped it free with practiced ease and looked down at the 8-foot drop to the garden below. Not ideal, but manageable, especially with the flower bed providing softer landing than concrete. I threw both our backpacks out first, watching them land in the mulch, then helped Becca climb through the window frame. She hesitated at the edge, looking down at the drop with visible fear. I gripped her wrists and lowered her as far as I could reach before letting go, and she fell the remaining 4 feet with a muted thump that sounded explosively loud in the quiet night. I followed immediately after, dropping and rolling to absorb the impact, my ankle twisting slightly on landing, but holding my weight when I stood.